the horrific news emanating from Kwara State, where a lawmaker, Saidu Baba Ahmed, is saying that almost 200 people were killed by terrorists after they violently attacked the villages of Nuku and Woro on Tuesday evening. According to the lawmaker, the terrorists invaded the area around 6 p.m. local time and set the King's Palace, shops, and homes on fire. The attack was confirmed on Wednesday by the governor, Abdurrahman Abdurazak, who stated that 75 Muslims were massacred for refusing to surrender to extremists.
Because they absolutely refuse a change of doctrine in the faith, and they were attacked and massacred. It's different from what we used to see, where the subjects were kidnapped for ransom. But this was just a pure massacre, and it's something we truly condemn. These challenges will be mitigated, inshallah. Well, at the moment, the state emergency services is going through enumeration and for how to take care and take over the members of the families.
I mean, this they've described as the deadliest attack, almost unimaginable that this occurred just back to back after. I mean, it's been a horrible year so far, Ayo. I mean, the attack of this magnitude is really, really horrifying. May all of their souls rest in peace. And I'd like to take Farouk Perogi's post. I mean, he released a statement. He wrote, "People familiar with what happened in the village of Woro, Kayama local government area, said that the bloodbath started yesterday evening and continued into the morning hours of today. The trigger for the mass massacre was a decision by the district head of the village, by the name Alhaji Saliu Umar, to inform the authorities of a letter the community received from the terrorists stating that they would be coming to preach in the village at an unspecified date. The village head suspected that the terrorists known to locals as Mahmouda were up to no good, so he did what all law-abiding people would do, report to the security forces. It turned out, however, that the terrorists appeared to have informants among the security forces the village head reported to. The terrorists were incensed that the village head had the temerity to report them to the security forces and decided to go on a mass murdering spree. In retaliation, it is not the first time the Mahmouda terrorists have done such a thing in that community. The photos of slaughtered and mutilated bodies of innocent men, women, and children that my people shared with me have immobilized me and will probably haunt me for days. And I did see some of those visuals. Really, really horrific. You know, women, children, the king's family killed. We had our reporter on ground. We even had our reporter yesterday saying that he was there counting bodies and he was weak. Ayo.
No, this is a very sad day for not just Kwara State, but for the whole of Nigeria.
Yes.
And a number of people have been talking about it. Earlier today, just corroborating what Mr. Farouk Perogi said, we had Alhaji Saliu himself come to speak about what happened. He described the fact that they received letters ahead of time. Number one, this shows the brazenness of the terrorists, to the fact that they felt confident enough to write. It reminds me of the days when robbers would write to a neighborhood in some parts of Lagos and Nigeria and say, "We are coming," and nothing would be done. It also speaks to the inefficiency in this regard of security agents. It means it's almost an open dare to them. However, the military has continued to demonstrate their efforts to tackling insecurity, even though we are asking for more. Now, beyond that was that he went to report the matter as any uprighting citizen of the country and a community leader of his stature should have done. But what he met was a betrayal, a massive betrayal of trust, because someone someone within the agency, the GSS agency or the agency, the security agent, went to divulge this information to the enemies, who then becoming upset, just what Mr. Paragi said.
Yeah.
And so a number of things to address here. In the same way as we had with the school kidnapping,
yes,
where someone leaked intelligence to the security operatives, and we said, who ordered the soldiers to withdraw? We don't have an answer to that yet. In the same vein, we're asking, who was the person that received intelligence information, and can we track the number of people in that chain who had information and begin the investigation there? Let this not go. If not, we keep wasting our times. These are preventable deaths.
Yes.
These are preventable atrocities, because if something had been done following the letter that was written, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today. Then beyond that is the fact that we must look at how response time, because another thing that was asked this morning was, at what point were the soldiers called in? They were called at 5 p.m. They arrived at 3 a.m. That means that they arrived 10 hours. So what are the bottlenecks that were faced? With regards to emergency response, perhaps the number of deaths that were recorded would not have been recorded. It's a sad day for the community. Unfortunately, what this does is that it continues to spread fear amongst people in Kwara State and neighboring environments, and I dare say the whole of Nigeria, because the question is, who's next? If we're not arresting, if we're not prosecuting significantly, then Nigerians cannot go to bed with their two eyes closed that the government has security under control, and that's a sad situation. But the government say that they're on top of this. Let's see what they'll do after this.
They're on top of it. This is the same question, the same Kwara State. This is the question a lot of people are asking. I mean, it's not new that these terrorists are operating in Kwara State, especially. Why deploy troops after the fact? What if we have troops? Why don't you just put them on ground? People have died needlessly. Someone's saying 200 people. 200 in one day. May their souls rest in peace. Meanwhile, the United States military has confirmed that American troops have been deployed to Nigeria, marking the first official acknowledgement of U.S. boots on the ground since Washington launched airstrikes on Christmas Day. General Dagvin Anderson, head of U.S. Africa Command, announced on Tuesday that a small team with unique capabilities has been sent to Nigeria following increased security cooperation between both nations. The deployment came after Anderson's meeting with President Tinubu in Rome last year. Nigeria's Defense Minister Christopher Musa confirmed the presence of the U.S. personnel, but provided no further details. Meanwhile, the House Foreign Affairs Africa Subcommittee held a hearing on Wednesday titled Defending Religious Freedom Around the World, with U.S. congressmen calling out Nigeria as a country violating religious freedom. Well, according to former U.S. Ambassador Sam Brownback, Nigeria is at risk of descending into widespread Christian-Muslim violence, with Brownback describing Nigeria as the deadliest place on the planet to be a Christian. And Rufai, this was the conversation about this Kwara attack. They call them jihadists, the people that were there. But I call them terrorists, whether they are jihadists or not. They were out there trying to indoctrinate people in Kwara State, and because they refused to, cower to the religion, they massacred them. That's one of the stories out there.
Let's go back to the definition of a genocide.
Yes.
The definition talks a lot about intent. All right? In this case, in this massacre case, was there intent? Yes. The intent was to spread doctrines. They massacred Christians, they massacred Muslims, non-Muslims. So can we all agree that this is a genocide? Because you see, in also having this conversation, it's how we situate the conversation. A lot of people were trying to run around and deny, there's no Christian genocide. No, there's no. And I've said many times, I can say boldly there's Christian genocide. I can also say there's genocide against Muslims in the country. But can we both agree that there's a genocide going on in Nigeria? Because with these killings, does it pass the test of intent? It does. Secondly, the case about complicity. Till today, the Nigerian state does not have. And please, let me be a bearer of bad news, Oji. Attacks like this will happen again.
God for.
No, see, it's not by God saying God forbid.
I always pray.
Oji, see, Oji, it's not for the want of prayer. If it's by prayer, the amount of prayer that goes out in churches every Sunday, Nigeria will not have one smell of insecurity. But it's not by prayer. It's by walking and praying. We pray, but we are not doing the aspect of walking. What is the working? Intelligence, reconnaissance, holding people accountable. Oji, I can bet you that those that leaked the secret to the terrorist group, those that were complicit, they will never be revealed.
Yeah.
We should not even investigate further, Oji. How did the village head call the security boys by 5 o'clock? They didn't come till after 3. And it was when the terrorists finished that they came. Who is protecting who? They said they put booby traps on the road. They call you by 5, reconnaissance. When I was asking Rafiu, the chief press secretary, he was trying to dodge it. You see, in this country too, you will not want to talk against your master or talk against. They said they got the road, but the people came. They didn't come until 3 o'clock. I know you raised a very important point as regards the KB girls. That was how they ordered the military to leave there and the attack happened. So who is in charge of all of this? Who are the complicit bad eggs? Hoji, as long as we've not targeted the complicit bad eggs, it's going to happen again, because it didn't only happen in Kwara, it happened in Katsina, it happened in other parts. Hoji, it's just that same level of complicity that happened in Kaduna, that terrorists came, picked 177 people. The local government chairman went there and told them, please don't talk about it, don't reveal this. And guess what? It was because the people revealed it. Till today, the local government chairman is still working free. The police was also complicit. The police also tried to cover it. Hoji, in a case where you can't trust the police, trust security architecture, trust the fact that you give intelligence, and that's why when people say, oh, give us intelligence of what is happening, you are so scared, you don't know who to talk to. In a case you can't trust all of that, then there's the culture of complicity. Hoji, it will happen constantly again. See, I don't know who said it to, but they cease to see that if an insurrection happens for more than 24 hours in the country, there's an element of complicity. The complicity is so wild in this country that you and I will be here and will report the next attack, which might be a couple of days from now, except we change.
We need to target the